So you're joining today a webinar on getting started with GenAI in biopharma. My name's Anthony Policino. I'm the CMO at Magnolia, a digital experience company. And we'll begin today by introducing the topic. So, you know, we're all hearing about GenAI all the time, and biopharma is no exception. And GenAI is offering up a lot of intriguing opportunities for how we connect with our customers or patients or doctors, and especially in terms of marketing, kind of letting us personalize and market at scale in a way we've never been able to do before. So today we'll talk a little bit about how you can integrate GenAI into marketing efforts and how companies can deliver relevant, personalized, and localized content to HCPs and patients across all of their various channels faster. So you'll hear about some best practices, some use cases, and you'll learn how to use GenAI to produce more content and enhance omnichannel engagement while maintaining compliance. So before we get into the housekeeping part of our introduction here, we're going to open up a poll. If you look over to the right-hand side of the interface, there's a new button with a red dot above it. Jump in there, offer your thoughts, and we'll use that to kind of inform the first part of our chat. Now, the housekeeping. So we are recording the webinar, and we'll share it in the next couple of days. You'll find a whole set of additional resources on the Docs tab right next to poll in the top right, if you want to learn more about any of the things we talk about today. If you're interested in receiving further biopharma-related content around digital experiences and GenAI, sign up for our biopharma newsletter by clicking the button at the top. So there's a little bubble in the center top of the screen. So click there and you can sign up. And we will have time for Q&A at the end. So as we go, as we have our discussion today, feel free to drop Q&A in the chat or in the Q&A panel. If we don't have time to hit them all at the end, we'll make sure we get back to you after the event with any answers you may be waiting for. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists so we can get started. Joining me today, we have Alex from Digitalia. We have Jess from Camino Communication. And we have Manuel Mintola, who's an AI expert and global digital transformation manager and has been working with pharma companies on the AI topic for quite a while. So can't wait to meet everyone. I'll ask them all to join the stage and introduce themselves. And we'll start with Jess, since you're the first bubble I see.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all. My name is Jess. I'm a director at Camino Communications. As it says here, we're an omnichannel native medcoms agency. So we're working directly with our clients in pharma companies across the whole spectrum of pharma and in both marketing and actually medical affairs as well. Really, our purpose is omnichannel, but AI has become a crucial tool for us. We started playing with it for ourselves very early on, and now we're integrating it into the work we do with our clients. So I look forward to sharing some of those learnings from our pilot projects with you today.
Fantastic. Alex, why don't we hear from you next?
Yep. So hi, everyone. I'm Alex from Digitalia. Nice to meet you all. Digitalia is a software development agency focusing on life sciences, building HCP portals and different digital health tools. Today, I'm joining from the beautiful and sunny Yash. So it's also Friday. So what a nice time to discuss about GenAI. Happy to see you all. And yeah, passing over to Manuel.
Thank you very much, Alex. So my name is Manuel, and I work as a global digital innovation manager. I spent the last almost 10 years, let's say time flies, in various pharma companies. And I had the chance to work mainly into the digital transformation, commercial roles, and of course, the AI field. So for those who know me already, I share almost every day content about the AI, especially applied to pharma. Very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Manuel. So looking at the poll results, most are yes or plan to do soon. I think that is probably similar to what we all hear every day as we're working with companies and prospects and clients. maybe I'll ask the panel here, what are those initial engagements like? What are people asking as they come to you? What are they confused about? Manuel, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I think that one thing that I like very much when I do think about this application is to make it practical. And when it comes to the AI, I always hear the classical buzzword thing: AI can do everything, can revolution. It's a revolution, and so on and so forth. But personally, I come from the countryside, and I also really like to give it a practical and tangible application. So I think the very first question is, how can we use it? What can we do with that? Give me one practical use case, and then we can go ahead. So that's, I think, how to make it practical.
Yeah, fantastic. Alex, Jess?
Yep. So if I can build on top of that, this is exactly what we are also hearing from from the people that are wanting to implement GenAI, and maybe something else in there is about what metric would this move, like how can with this improve the current processes, how would this improve the customer experience, how would this improve the internal processes, and so on. So yeah, everybody is still a bit, I wouldn't say afraid, but it's trying to figuring these things out because it's a pretty new topic. It's probably the fastest adoption technology in there that we've seen so far. So everybody is trying to figure things out, like how can we measure the impact of AI? How can it benefit us, and what practical experiments we can do to measure that.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. And I think our experience has been that we do get a lot of questions of people coming to us just saying, well, what can it do? And that's great that people want to know the answer to that. And we've run a lot of workshops now where we take people through the basics of, to a degree, how it works at a very simplistic level, which helps you understand what it's going to be good at. So it's very good at summarization. It's very good at editing. It's very good at providing answers by retrieving information from large volume of text. But once you've got through that basics of what is it good at, we can also provide examples of, work we've done and examples of use cases, very simple things you can do yourself. But I'm always challenging a little bit to be, rather than like, what can it do? Flipping the question back of, well, what's your challenge? Because I think there's a real danger with AI that, we will talk about the hype cycle and all of that it becomes this kind of, well, I just need to do some AI. Well, why? What are you trying to solve? What's the business challenge? And once you've given me a business challenge, we can then break that down into the individual steps within that job. What are the tasks where AI can help? And I think that's really important, that any pilot or a whole project that you're trying to set up is directly addressing a business challenge, because otherwise it's a vanity project. And it's the thing that will die very quickly when other business priorities take over. So I think we've been really careful not to pick up AI projects that are just an AI project. They need to be doing something that needed doing anyway. We're just doing it faster, better, in a more innovative way by the application of AI into that project.
Yeah, that's a really healthy approach. And, we're in a world where Taco Bell is claiming it's an AI company now in the US. And I think that makes it very, very hard for people to think about, okay, what are the use cases? What are the business challenges? So maybe, are there some specific examples of that that you've all run into in these early days of the use cases and business challenges that you can share?
Yeah, so I'm happy to go first on that as well. So I think, one of the key things that we started with, that feels like the obvious one, is content development, right? Like, surely we should just be getting it to write all of our marketing copy. And actually our first pilot doing that was awful. It was so bad at writing marketing copy in pharma. Like, it's fine if you're selling trainers. It's rubbish if you're selling drugs. So we really struggled to get it to do. It was very good at kind of retrieving the right information from papers and using that to write things, but it was either really, really boring factual content, or it was like, when you said make it more creative, it then be like, once upon a time. neither of these things are useful for us in pharma, right? So actually pure just write me some content, actually not the best use case in pharma, although it's the one that everyone wants to get to. Adapting existing materials where you can give it some really good prompts and some really good context and examples of strat and approved language, there it gets interesting, where you can do kind of personalization or, you know, kind of multi-format taking from core content. That's a much better use case. But generating first draft copy, absolutely not the best use case. We've also done a lot where it's about synthesizing big amounts of data. I talked already about summarization, and we're doing big projects where we're essentially doing things that would have been really cumbersome and slow in terms of scraping big data sets and then categorizing and summarizing that information. And so it's kind of more in the back end of marketing, but streamlining that process of getting really great insights out, but actually, you know, surfacing those insights quickly and being able to cast the net wider, not just looking from the usual sources, but combining multiple sources to really bring some exciting insights to the table. So there's loads more I could talk about, but that's a starter, and I'll let Alex and Manuel come in.
Yeah, fantastic start. Thank you.
Maybe I can build on what you were saying, Jess, because I think you touched a very important topic, that it is, let's say, the content creation. And when it comes to pharma, I mean, we have been producing a lot of contents in marketing, sales, and so on for years. And I think that the AI, I mean, is increasing in terms of quality. I mean, the GenAI tools, I mean, generating images, we have seen the recent update in terms of video and so on. I think there are still certain bottlenecks that are somehow related to the pharma industry. And I'm specifically, I'm thinking to the MLR approval, for example, because of course, I mean, I don't want to hide the fact that, of course, in pharma, there is a lot of hype, a lot of interest around the AI, but there are also certain fears around it. So, of course, I mean, I always hear something like, okay, we need to keep the human in the loop, especially in the approval level, when it comes to the medical review, when it comes to the medical approval, especially these kind of things. But then it's kind of a chicken and the egg, no? So something like, okay, I use GenAI to produce more content or more personalized content, so it becomes easier to produce content, but then I need more human intervention in terms of approval, review, and so on. So I think this is kind of a very peculiar character of the pharmaceutical marketing, where, I mean, also the AI, I think, can play a good role also during the MLR review. But I think that's something to be taken into account.
Yep, exactly. So what we also experience is that, based on the conversation that I'm having, they are two types of the companies. So the big ones in there, like the top 20 pharma, they are already having a couple of initiatives in there. So they are doing lots of stuff in terms of personalization, newsletter, for example, optimization in there. Like, I don't know, sometimes it doesn't make sense to hire an agency and spend, I don't know, 1 week to create like some banners when you can create it in 10 minutes with with a tool based on GenAI. So they are more advanced into this. However, the challenge is in there, as you mentioned, Manuel, is in terms of how to control the personalization in the AI. Because a lot of this modular content, they get pre-approved by the MLR team, as you mentioned, but that you don't know exactly what the tool will be displaying to each doctor. So you need to put like a safety mechanism in place. Then there are the medium-sized companies in there. They are just starting, based on my experience. So this doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. They are just starting right now with AI. And there is the afraid of using something on a production level, like something facing to the clients. So right now, there is a lot of pilot projects internally, for example, optimizing, using something like Microsoft Copilot, just to optimize the time of the stakeholders that they are spending in writing emails, summarizing the meetings, and so on. So they're starting small, just to get the buy-in from the people and get them accustomed with AI, so that after that they will deploy those into the facing projects. And something new that I just noticed, and it's also related to what you mentioned, Manuel and Jess, is the MLR process. I haven't seen, like, the concepts are the same, but I haven't seen like the same structure of MLR approval in the companies that we work with. So each one seems to have like a, and even in the same company, if you work with the different markets, they might have different approval processes in there. So this also spends a lot of time from the MSLs, because besides doing the MLR approval, they also need to do doctor visits and other stuff on their end. The commercial are unhappy because the MLR process is taking forever, and the MSLs are not happy because they're not hitting their targets. The doctors, they don't receive content at a decent time pace, so everybody's unhappy at the end of the day. And there are I've seen a couple of companies that they are discussing right now to start some initiatives into optimizing the MLR process based on GenAI, like identify the texts in there and all this stuff. So it's great that the things are moving forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about this technology, I think, that we haven't seen before with these kind of step changes is that AI gets better the more you use it over time, right? And that, brings to mind training models. Are there things that you advise clients or something that needs to be considered with the first project versus maybe the 10th project, and how they get to that level of understanding with their AI?
Definitely. And I think we've talked a lot about, the tools are changing all the time. Everyone asks me, what's the best tool for audio translation at the moment? I'm like, well, I can give you an answer, but it might be different next week. And it's just based on the ones I've tried so far. So, I think the tools themselves are rapidly changing. But actually, I think the biggest change is people's experience with them. I think we've seen from our team and from working with our clients that we all use it differently. I came up as an account handler and as a project manager, I use it very differently to how Tom in my team uses it, who's a writer. He absolutely prompts it like a medical writer, and therefore he gets different responses out. Likewise, James prompts it like a developer, so he can get great code out of it. I could not get great code out of it. So I think it's about playing to your own expertise, but building that confidence in a team to just get started and try makes such a big difference to the quality of whatever tool they're using. Because I think you learn by doing with this. Absolutely. People are always asking me, like, give me some great prompts to use. And I'm like, I would really rather help you get over that initial inertia and learn how to use it at a more fundamental level than just give you some prompts to copy and paste in. Because my prompts are never right first time. It's always about iterating. It's always about saying, I'm interested in this, tell me something, rather than spending ages creating a perfect prompt. Such a thing does not exist. Get a prompt in, ask a follow-up question, ask another follow-up question. That's when you get the best responses out. But even so I'm probably going to say this 7 times in this webinar, 80-20. Like, I never copy and paste directly out. It's whatever we're producing, whether it's an image, text, whatever, there's always some human component. There's obviously a human component up front where you're working out how to prompt or how to input, what context to give it, all of those considerations. But we're never copying and pasting out. We're always adding that expert lens at the end and through that iterative process in the middle. So we talk about 80-20, and sometimes it's 50-50 and sometimes it's 90-10. But broadly speaking, that concept of it can do 80% of the heavy lift, but that 20% is where you add your magic and you make really high quality content. We've got a basic principle of if it takes AI less time to generate it than it takes a human to read it, we've done it wrong. So we should absolutely be still curating and crafting that content to make it the best it can be. But by using AI to do 80% of that lift, your 20% effort can really make it shine.
Yeah, if I may add one thing, Jess, I mean, you mentioned one important part, that it is related to the fact that we are in front of a iterative tool, a chat tool. And that's in the name for a reason, because if you take the same prompt, you copy paste 10 times, you will have 10 different outcomes. And so the important thing is to learn how to prompt instead of, let's say, finding and spotting the best prompt for doing something, because as you said, it doesn't exist. And I think is an important skill, let's say, to acquire and to learn how to speak with the AI. Coming back, Anthony, to the agenda, let's say, of the topic of the webinar, when it comes to common pitfall, no. One thing that I see a common mistake is to, let's say, start from the tool. And we said, I mean, there are many tools popping up. There are many services popping up, add-on to GPT and so on. I think that as an industry, we should start more, let's say, from the strategic need, and then you look for the right tool, and then you are also able to evaluate the tool in terms of how much it is able to satisfy the needs. Because I know it's very tempting, let's say, to go to the leadership team and say, okay, I have this tool, it gives the wow effect, but then, I mean, it has to be linked to the business. And as you said, Alex, at the very beginning, what are the KPIs that we want to address with this tool? Because the temptation is to say, okay, I want to delegate something to the AI, but I think it's a mistake. Because personally, I think it's not delegating something completely to the AI, the direction, but it is instead of using the AI. So it's kind of saying, okay, not a human versus AI, but human without AI versus human plus AI. That's a different thing, and that's a concept that I think it is important.
Yeah, it's a tool to kind of boost productivity, streamline, accelerate, but it doesn't replace the human component.
Exactly. Actually, what we noticed is transformation process, like at least in the projects we got involved. So people, usually they were very structured in there, let's say, because we are an agency. So when they gave like a brief to the agency, they were very structured in terms of that. And after that, yeah, the projects were kicked off and so on. Right now, people are a bit more creative. I would say they are still structured in there, but they are also creative in terms of how to do the briefings. Like I don't know, does it still make sense to, I don't know, spend weeks into creating the briefings, involved at least 8 to 10 parties into that, or you just create like a chatbot that is doing that for you. And it also creates the entire roadmap, and you just get everybody on the table, align in terms of the purpose, and just kick off the project. So I believe also the pitfall is in terms of sometimes, as Manuel mentioned, solving existing problems, but also the good use cases in terms of optimizing those processes and where do you bring value, and seeing the bigger picture. Like, okay, just putting up we want to be more innovative, like we want to use more AI. It's not like a general direction, but if you do smaller pilot projects that are iterative and scaling up into there, like solving the bigger picture, could be something innovative in the company.
Yeah, I'd love to. That getting started idea, I think, is an important one for our audience today, especially. What are the one or two kind of ways you would suggest companies begin exploring that first project in terms of HCP or website or content, or however you might want to think about it?
I'm going to give a really annoying answer.
Yeah.
Back to my point around it. You've got to find a business need rather than me telling you what it is. I think all of the things you mentioned and a whole load more are options. Coming back to Alex's point earlier, I do think if it's literally your first project, probably something internal. It's going to be easier and quicker to get it done. It's going to feel lower risk. You're not going to hit the same roadblocks. So probably something internal. I think my biggest tip, as I said, is make it a real business challenge, something you needed to do anyway. And then I think it's about make it something that's small enough that it can really be a pilot project, something that can happen quickly over a defined period of time so that you can get those learnings and then work out Does it work? Can we scale it up? Where else could we apply that same thinking elsewhere? So think about time frame. We touched briefly already on KPIs a little bit, and I wanted to bring that into this as to how to work out which opportunities to pursue. The temptation is to think entirely about efficiency, time, cost savings. And of course, that's relevant. And I don't think we'll ever do an AI project where that isn't a KPI, right? Of course. But again, we always push ourselves to look for projects where we can not only deliver efficiency, but also deliver value and innovation. And by value, I mean, can it do something that we couldn't have done before? Or can it do something that we can do better than we could have done before? Not just meet the same standard quicker and faster, but actually level up. And by innovation, in and of itself, it's not enough. I don't just want the shiny vanity projects. But to Alex's point, if you're doing a project that can demonstrate a way forward, where you can see how that same thinking could apply elsewhere, so it can inform that long-term adoption of AI and be something where you can engage a wide range of stakeholders so that you're starting that kind of cultural shift within your organization. If you can tick those 3 boxes, efficiency, value, and innovation, that's a great pilot project. So, annoying answer in that I'm not giving a very tangible go and do a website. But those are my kind of top tips for finding the right one for you.
Yep, I would.
It was not annoying, Jess.
I would do the same. I would say the same. Like, what's important is to be time boxed. When you're starting, you don't want to spend 1 year just ideating, and after that doing nothing. Just have a PowerPoint with 3 ideas, and that's it. I would say just set up a time. Usually, I don't know, something small like 1 or 2 months. I then do an internal assessment, and the internal assessment, very straight to your point, Jess, it can be 2 ways. Like for the level of happiness, everybody internally has tasks they don't like to do it. So like if you want to increase the internal stakeholder happiness, maybe you can identify those tasks that they are time consuming for them, boring, and they don't want to do it. So you can have an AI tool for that. A real example could be maybe an internal newsletter. Maybe people, it's something very nice to engage with your colleagues. And it's also very nice to involve an agency into doing that. But it would be probably more efficient time spending if those people are focusing to the external partners like doctors, HCPs, and so on. Use the agency for that sort of engagement, and for the internal engagement with the AI. And so that's sort of, for example, an example for the level of happiness. Then also for the efficiency point, especially if you want to sell the idea to a CFO and get some budget to scale it, probably you also need to to put efficiency in place. Maybe identify time-consuming tasks. For example, either creating briefs for the agency or creating internal PowerPoints or external PowerPoints, or I don't know, summarizing meetings like the example I shared with the Microsoft Copilot. So do that. Set up some clear KPIs. Okay, what do you want to improve? We want to improve level of happiness. We want to improve level of efficiency. Measure the current level of efficiency or the level of happiness. Can be like a simple question: how happy are you from 1 to 10 with the task that you are doing? And what do you want to do? Okay, right now it's 6. Maybe you want to go to 8. Okay, let's do that. Or how much time do you spend right now creating these tasks? 1 hour per day. Okay, let's, again, it's more bringing people in, not just telling that, okay, you're spending so much time in doing that. It's just setting the idea, okay, let's redirect this time into something more meaningless for everybody. And after that, just start the project for time boxed for 2 months. Set up the KPIs and measure them on a bi-weekly or weekly basis. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the experiment of those 2 months, just draw the conclusion and set up the next steps. Maybe get some budget from the CFO. Who knows?
Budget always
Good
helps, right?
point.
Yeah.
Good point. Guys, while you were speaking, I was thinking that, there are certain aspects that I'm completely aligned. I fully agree with you. Some other, I have a different opinion. So just to reflect and think loud. So I fully agree, Jess, on the things related to the starting with the internal project. If you are starting, you want to play safe. So of course, every application is that is internal is more safe. Let's say from a customer interaction perspective, you have to step into a different level of security and safety. I fully agree on the, let's say, on the part, related to find, let's say, the link to the business. And I really appreciate, Alex, when you say, okay, let's look for something that it is addressing something annoying, some problems, and so on. And I think that's a specific part that it is crucial, because when you have the need of introducing transformation changes into the company, in any case, you will raise resistance at certain level. So you need to find alliances within the company. You need to find champions, and a good way is to show from the very beginning what's in for them. The point that I was mentioning before, where I do not fully agree, but I think I'm not 100%, 80%, is related to the efficiency. Because when it comes to the very beginning of the project, when it comes to small pilot, small thing, and so on, I think that efficiency is very ambitious somehow, and a small pilot as a very first and initial experience maybe is a too ambitious KPI. And on the other side, I'm thinking about the champions and thinking about the allies that are saying, this thing is taking my job, is gonna replace me, and so on. And efficiency, if you say efficiency into a CEO speech, it means job cuts. So it really depends on the level, and I think that it is definitely a KPI that it is crucial. Maybe it is crucial to show the potential of efficiency. Maybe that's something that you were referring to the CFO, to show the potential. But at a very first experience, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not saying no, but not 100% yes.
So before we kind of move into the final part of the program today, I sometimes like to ask these big questions, kind of thought-provoking questions. And what I'd love to hear is, we all kind of lived through the COVID era, and we saw this kind of massive impact on how not only pharma companies, but everyone had to engage with audiences that were remote, isolated. It became much harder to visit people in person. And it created a whole lot of new work for many, many teams. How could some AI tools kind of assist if we have something of that scale in the future? Could it have made life easier?
Yep. So maybe one idea in there. So during the COVID time, it was like it was something new. It was probably the fastest rare disease in there that became not so rare anymore, and probably the fastest disease that got the treatment out there. So it was a changing time for everybody, for pharma companies, for the people, for the entire world, and for the way that we live our lives today. However, all these changes also brought, and also related to Manuel's point earlier, brought uncertainties. With a new vaccine, who trusts the new vaccine? At least in Romania, this was the main area. There is no COVID, is just something that everybody made up in there, and they just want to keep us in the house. So there were these uncertainties and these feelings out there that if you, like, people would have. How would I use GenAI right now if I would be, again, like a pharma company launching a COVID vaccine with all these things? I would maybe use GenAI to try to understand a bit the cultural point of it and all these fears in there. And after that, maybe do like sparing, use them as a sparing partner in terms of generating maybe campaign ideas on how to mitigate these feelings of people, how to move them to understand this is something that is beneficial for our health, and you need to take a treatment. And this is like how I would use it, like to generate content ideas, to understand the population, to understand their cultural feelings, and so on. And after that, do some campaigns around that.
Fantastic. So before we hit Q&A, I want to open up a last poll. So there'll be a new poll added over to the right.
Had some ideas. Maybe I'm curious to see to hear his opinion because.
Yeah.
You were saying to me, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about the COVID. The biggest fact in pharma at those time was that basically the access to HCP was completely, switched to zero. So the sales rep couldn't go anymore. Physicians were super busy, and so on. So what it happened was that the COVID was, let's say, the fastest and the strongest digital transformator of the company, and basically everyone was moving to digital push interaction. If it was today, let's say, I was thinking more at let's say pull solution, like a custom GPT on the website being a point of contact for the physician, that they can interact with the company in a very good way and 24/7. So that kind of a solution that somehow, intervening in the decrease of the access to the physician from a marketing perspective. Just an idea.
Yeah. One last very brief one. I think one of the biggest misses, obviously there's a huge amount of data coming out very fast. Non-native English speakers were incredibly poorly served. So just like AI translation would have massively sped up our ability to get data into communities. I think, elevating those comms to things, just a very simple use case, but could have really, really served those populations better.
Yeah, fantastic. So before we go to Q&A, I'm going to ask you each, give me 10 to 20 seconds. Give us your quick pitch for why companies should be implementing GenAI today and not in 2 years. We'll start
maybe
with
I can start. Yeah, maybe I can start. I think that the key reason will be because our customer will be using it with other company very, very soon. I'm thinking about not pharma companies. They will get used to interact with other industry company in a very AI-driven way. So they would expect also this level of interaction with us as a pharma company. So we cannot be, let's say, unprepared for this.
Fantastic. Jess, you want to take next?
I feel like you've stolen mine, Manuel, but I'll try and be slightly different. I think it is about competitive advantage and, to a degree, the lack thereof if you're not applying it. So yes, with your customers, but also for your team. It's about giving it to your team as a superpower, allowing them to turbocharge everything they're doing, whether that's efficiency, and being able to do more with the same amount of people, or whether it's about the quality of what they're doing. I think it's absolutely crucial that we do that. As I said, if we start with those key business challenges, work out how to apply it there, you can translate that into a really high quality output and make that a competitive advantage.
Yep, I would agree with the two of you. So I just want to ask a question. Does everybody know Nokia? Well, it was very hyped at some point, but after that, all the other companies were doing this innovation in there, like with Android, introducing Android as an operating system, introducing touchscreens as for your phones and so on. So basically, GenAI is the new innovation right now in there. So I believe you don't want to be the Nokia in there, which they made some very good. Some very good phones, and probably they are still doing today. Like my grandma is still using a Nokia. But as a pharma, and not just as a medtech company, we don't want to be the Nokia in there. So GenAI is the future, I would say.
Fantastic. And we'll put up the poll results for the last question on the screen. So what are the biggest challenges you face or anticipate in implementing AI in your marketing strategy?
People are afraid about data privacy and security concern. That's the first, what I can see here. Then regulatory compliance issues is the second, or it's in second option in there. Seems that those compliance teams are really scary.
Here we go.
I think it's what we hear a lot as well. And I completely understand those concerns, and I don't want to in any way trivialize them. But I think, in all honesty, quite a lot of them come from not having a full understanding of how AI works and what platforms you're tapping into. And actually, the fact that you've been using AI for at least 10 years without realizing it, we're just all calling it AI now. So I think it is really important to make sure that those concerns are addressed, but that they're addressed with accurate information about how AI works, what options you've got for applying those tools, and frankly, still having a really robust review process for anything you're generating, of course, but absolutely looking at how can we address this, because it's not going away. So just saying, well, we just won't do it then is just not an option.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know there were comments about the kind of regulatory and compliance issues, in the chat. So a bit of a
not surprised.
And we do we'll talk about it at the end, but our next webinar in the series will be getting into the security and compliance issues. So sign up for that at the end if you want to hear more. Gareth asks the panel, what do they feel most excited about in terms of what AI offers us?
For me, it is the ability to personalize. I think, as I said, we work along in omnichannel primarily, and we've talked for a long time about personalization being the holy grail of omnichannel, and it absolutely not being feasible in pharma. And we're not quite there yet, but we're definitely taking a big step forward in terms of self-personalization with a combination of AI and a modular content approach. And I think that's really exciting. And I think that will, transform it, both in terms of personalizing the actual content, but also personalizing the format. So we know that you've accessed a video in the past, you want more video content, or would you like a podcast? Making it actually feasible to create the same content in multiple formats at scale without it turning into spam is really important and really exciting.
Yeah, to me, the most exciting part is related to the new way of engaging with physician mainly. So that's a completely different thing, a completely new way of interacting, a completely new channel, and I think that's a kind of a very exciting revolution on one side. On the other side, I also see that the AI, not only can help us, let's say, doing more efficiently, better certain things, but also it has a different perspective. So I see very good application, for example, looking at unstructured data and taking insights in a way that the human eye wouldn't be able to do it. So it's kind of having a different perspective, and that's something very cool.
Yep, what I most like and I'm most excited is the access to information, because I believe this improved quite a lot since ChatGPT and the Gemini and the others other solutions are out there, and also the fact that there is a sparring partner for everybody. Like doctors are using this also for better diagnostics. We are using this in daily life for understanding better insights about the industry. So yeah, I would say that one.
So we are running short on time here, so I want to make sure I thank everyone for joining us. Manuel, Jess from Camino Communication, and Alex from Digitalia. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great to hear your expertise. I think that we'd love to share some specific examples of projects. There's another comment that came in right at the end, but we'll have to get into that in future webinars or send it out afterwards. If you go to the poll tab, everyone, and you're interested in hearing more about the compliance topic around GenAI, please let us know there, and we'll reach out to you with information once we set up the next webinar. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Great discussion.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.